Yo, what's up, YouTube? So I've been challenged to do a video on why I think Americanized Nigerians are opting to not date each other. And before I get started, I'm purely talking about dating. I'm not talking about marrying. Like I said before, sometimes we kind of get the two confused. They're definitely related, because dating can lead to marriage, but dating by itself doesn't mean it leads to marriage. It could be dating just for the sake of dating. So keep that in mind. But I would say this: when you're Americanized, you adopt some of the same issues that Americans have. So if you're an Americanized Nigerian, you're still going to deal with African American issues, right? Black issues. You can't separate yourself, especially when the fact that, we're of the same blood, right? We may look differently from time to time, not too much so in my opinion, but you can't separate it. Like, there is no, it doesn't faze me, okay? So we're still prone to all the problems in terms of, the bad boy culture, the weaves, and all the other conditioning that we get, from the radio, BET, music, and just people we're around. So you can't separate that. So we still have all the same problems, right? We just can't put it away. So I can honestly almost stop the video right here and say that, we're opting not to date each other for the same reasons why, productive African Americans aren't dating each other. There's no real difference, in my eyes. But, there are some that kind of relate to the whole Nigerian side. For the women, I feel like it's more so they have this fear that we're going to turn out to be, overbearing and ultra controlling in terms of, how we live, how we run the family. Like, everything runs through me, and, I'm going to rule the family with an iron fist, and all you need to do is cook and have children, and if you backtalk me or go against what I want, I'm going to, beat you silly. They kind of have that fear. Okay? Is it unrealistic? Is it wrong for them to think that way? A part of me wants to say, yeah, it is wrong. But to be real, I understand where it comes from. I do. I'm not saying I condone that, their fear, but I do understand where it stems from. So a lot of them feel that way. A lot of them feel like their relationships is going to turn out just like their parents were. But they forget that our parents started their lives in Nigeria. So when they came over here, nothing really changed, because they came over here as an adult. Our whole lives have been here, so our relationships are going to be different, just from the simple fact that we're in a brand new environment, and the way things are done here are completely different back home, right? A lot of the times our parents had issues because our fathers wanted to run the family kind of like how we did it back home, which was more set up for the man to be the head in terms of control, because it was assumed that he was supposed to have complete control. But more so over here, it's not viewed that way. So they've tried to take, a previous system and bring it over here, and sometimes it caused a lot of problems. But we were born here, so we're not necessarily introduced to that old system. But nevertheless, the women still have that fear. In regards to the men, this one is a little bit more tricky, so hopefully you guys can stay with me. When we look at a Nigerian chick who's American, we try to put her into two categories. Is she an Americanized Nigerian, or is she a Nigerian American? And when we say Americanized Nigerian, we're referring to the Nigerian women who have adopted African American standards in terms of how they live. And I'm not trying to say this to put them down. I'm trying to say that these women identify more as being African American. So because of that, they kind of get put into that category. So the fact that they're Nigerian doesn't really mean much, because they've opted to take the personality of African American women. And like I said before, it's not to say that that group is lower. I'm saying that they just chose to identify with that group and partake in some of the social norms and activities that these women generally tend to do, whether it's good or bad. Okay, so they kind of fit into that whole spectrum of what it means to be an African American woman. That's where they fit. So we as Nigerian men say, well, she's kind of saying, I don't want the Nigerian title anymore. So we say, fine. We're not going to award you points, and we're not going to, allow you to use the whole Nigerian label as a way to stand out. Right? It's kind of like you took off that tag. You took off that barcode. So you kind of fit in with the rest because you opted for it. And the second category is the whole idea of her being a Nigerian American, where, she grew up in America and she does have certain American viewpoints and behaviors, but she is governed by a Nigerian set of rules, okay, which are more consistent to what you may find if you went, back to Nigeria, or just from a woman from a foreign point of view. Okay, so she's opting to be a foreigner even though she's in America. And we've already talked about the foreign mindset versus the American mindset. Okay, so we see these women, and we do give them credit for being Nigerian, but you don't see too many. So that's why it always seems like, we're opting not to date each other. Or, sometimes it seems like the men are opting not to date Nigerian women. Because in my opinion, the majority in America have chosen to lose the whole Nigerian tag. Now, I know the women will say, no, we haven't. But it's not based off of what you tell me. It's based off of what I say, based off of what I see. So you can still consider yourself to be one thing or another, but at the end of the day, I kind of make that decision. You can't really tell me how I'm going to view you. And for a lot of us, we view American-born Nigerian women as being Americanized Nigerian. And they don't get that Nigerian title. Now, if it was the Nigerian American, I think you would see more Nigerian men opting for those women. Okay, you would see a lot of men going after these women, but you don't see too many because we haven't necessarily deemed those women as being Nigerian American. Because it's based off of what we see and how we feel. I understand that a lot of Nigerian women will probably get upset because they'd rather be classified as Nigerian American, but I mean, like I said, we're only going off of your actions. That's all we're doing. We're not doing anything special, or we're not doing anything out of the ordinary. All we're doing is stepping back and looking at what you do and how you conduct yourself, and going from there. And like I said, the majority fall under the category where they can't use their Nigerian heritage to kind of give them that extra point, to kind of, give them that boost, to help them stand out. So, hopefully that addresses the question that I got. But like I said in the beginning, upwardly mobile African Americans, and just, young African Americans in general, are having problems dating. And we are not immune from that culture or that lifestyle. We're not completely, receptive to it. But part of who we are is based off of who they are as well. Because we grow up together, and the American society views us almost as being the same. So we will forever be linked. So whatever problems they may be having will transcend into our grouping as well, whether we like it or not. So, if they're having dating issues, so will we. And like I said before, we also have additional issues, right, that I spoke about. And that was the whole idea of the women being afraid that we may be too controlling. And for us, the whole idea of her being American Nigerian or her being Nigerian American. So hopefully you guys were able to follow me. I know I went long on this one, but I needed to explain myself. So take it easy, take care, God bless.